Lawyer Michael Avenatti sat down with CBS News for his first interview since being arrested on charges of extortion and wire fraud. He faces almost 100 years in prison if he's convicted on all of the charges. Well, in an interview with our Jericka Duncan, the well-known attorney says that he is maintaining his innocence.
Prosecutors are saying that you committed extortion, that you committed wire fraud and bank fraud in California. Did you try to extort Nike for millions of dollars?
No, and any suggestion is absolutely absurd. Nike knew from the very first moment that I had any contact with Nike that I was insisting that the truth about what Nike had done be disclosed to federal prosecutors and investigators.
What is the truth?
The truth is, for years, Nike and its executives have been funneling payments to amateur players, high school players, and to their handlers and family members in an effort to get them to go to colleges that were Nike colleges and ultimately, hopefully, to the NBA so they could sign a shoe deal with Nike.
But federal prosecutors maintain a different version of the truth.
Avenatti was not acting as an attorney. A suit and tie doesn't mask the fact that, at its core, this was an old-fashioned shakedown.
They allege Michael Avenatti attempted to use his platform to blackmail the apparel giant.
The complaint does suggest that you asked for up to $20 million, 1.5 for your client, and at least $20 million, and that you requested you be retained to do an internal investigation, and that if not you and they hired someone else, you stand to make more money.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the specifics of this, but what I will say is the way this has been framed is not accurate. It's just not accurate. And in fact, from the very first moment that we had any meeting with Nike, we made it clear that under no circumstances would we participate in anything that did not require full disclosure to investigators and the federal government.
What about the case in California? You've been charged with wire fraud, bank fraud. There were comments, in that complaint saying that you tried to embezzle, or you did embezzle, $1.6 million from a client you represented. The
client who is accusing me of embezzlement is currently on felony probation in California. You know what he was convicted of? Multiple counts of obtaining money under false pretenses. It turns out, and I didn't know this at the time, that he has an extensive criminal background and rap sheet associated with his conduct. So again, nowhere does that appear in the complaint. So there's going to be a lot of evidence. There's going to be a lot of facts that are going to come to light. You're
facing, if convicted on all of these charges, up to the rest of your life in prison. Are you nervous?
Well, of course I'm nervous.
Are you scared? Are you concerned? I mean, tell us, I guess, as someone who, again, has a history of representing people, and now you're on the other side, facing some serious charges.
I am nervous. I'm concerned. I'm scared.
But you also seem confident.
I am confident because I believe the facts are on my side.
Joining me now with more on her interview is Jericka Duncan. So, Jericka, he said he's scared. He said he's nervous because he knows what he's facing. What was your biggest takeaway from this interview?
That Michael Avenatti is a fighter. I mean, this is the type of attitude we've seen before when it comes to when he was doing Stormy Daniels. He represents people involved in the R. Kelly situation there, the criminal, indictment. And in fact, allegedly turned over tape to Cook County prosecutors. So this is someone that I'm not going to say he's not afraid of. Obviously, the FBI, this is very serious. And then, again, he's on the other side of this. But he's willing to, as he noted, fight back and provide evidence that will clear his name.
Was there anything that you were not able to put in the interview that, you can share with us?
I think all the good stuff we put in the interview.
Right, of course.
And it's interesting because a lot of times we don't have enough time, but in this case, this was sort of quick, and it was something that I think he was having, some thoughts about regarding whether or not he should even talk and speak out, but he did.
Yeah.
So this was not a very long interview, and I think there were parts where I read to him statements that were in the complaint that he allegedly said to attorneys who represent Nike.
Yeah.
And one of the paragraphs I read to him in which he talked about this is how it's going to go down. This is him allegedly telling this to the Nike reps. It's going to be the Washington Post, the New York Times. I'm going to have a press conference. Your company, will die. Basically, what do you want to do here?
Yeah.
And when I asked him, do you recall saying that? He said, well, no, but I'm sure maybe I did say something like that. So, but his thing is, this is what attorneys do. We're aggressive. We're trying to fight for our clients. Yeah. He said that it is not uncommon for that attorney to say, hey, by the way, we want to be the ones to do an internal investigation. He said there have been cases before where it's played out that way. When I asked him what cases, he said, well, of course, I can't disclose because of, agreements and non-disclosure agreements and whatnot. But we'll see what happens. He definitely seems like he has information that he's waiting to put out there that will clear him. But again, it's not just Nike. He's got financial issues with California, and he hasn't even been back to California since all of this happened.
Yeah.
He was arrested Monday. He sat down with us Tuesday. He's probably got to go back home at some point and really kind of look through all of these allegations as it relates to California, the wire fraud and the bank fraud allegations.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the experts that I've seen talk about the two cases have said. The one here in New York with Nike, perhaps there's a little bit of wiggle room, and it looks like we saw a little window into what his defense might be. But the one in California is what, attorneys call a paper case, and that it's in black and white. It's about money in, money out, taxes paid, and that sort of thing. So that might be a tougher one for him to defend. But speaking of the Nike case, have we heard from Nike at all?
So Nike says that as soon as they got the idea that he was planning to extort the company, it immediately reported it along with the information that he shared to federal prosecutors. Nike said that it's been cooperating with an NCAA investigation for over a year. And then we also heard from the NCAA, which said, quote, always welcome any firsthand, credible, lawfully obtained and disclosed information of NCAA rules violations. So, and you see the statement right there. So, it's still early. And I think, as I said,
because there is everything that Avenatti is alleging happened, which is perhaps something else that might be worth investigating.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Because people still want to know, well, what do you have? Who are these people? And he's been sort of tweeting things out and dropping hints. But it remains to be seen what that evidence is and proof that he says shows that Nike was, breaking the rules and giving money to high school basketball players and their families.
In the meantime, he's probably going to be a little distracted right now with his own two cases. Jericka, thank you so much.